Legends patch 10.2 was announced yesterday, Guardians of the Dream, and with that, we got an early look, I suppose, at the proposed tier set ideas for 2-piece and 4-piece. And in today's video, I just want to do a quick run through of the Blood Death Knight one, talk about the 2-piece, talk about the 4-piece, and give some ideas and suggestions around it, and who knows where we'll end up in the future. So looking at the Blood Death Knight tier set, the 2-piece bonus, consuming a Bone Shield charge, has a chance to cause your next Heart Strike to apply Ashen Decay, reducing damage dealt to you by 10% and increasing your damage dealt to afflicted targets by 20% for 8 seconds. The 4-piece set bonus for this is Soul Reaper's Execute damage and Abomination Limbs damage applies Ashen Decay to enemy targets, and Heart Strike and Blood Boil's direct damage extends Ashen Decay by 1 second. So a few things to consider straight off the bat with this new tier set is to start thinking about what we're actually going to lose going from our old tier set and our 4-piece bonus. So the current 4-piece is whenever you gain Vampiric Blood, you also gain Vampiric Strength for 5 seconds. And whilst it's active, Heart Strike and Blood Boil extend the duration of Vampiric Strength by half a second. So you could have anywhere from 40 to 45% uptime on Vampiric Strength, meaning we're losing out on that 10% extra strength for that 40 to 45% uptime from moving from this tier set into the next one. So looking at the proposed 10.2 current tier set, the first thing we need to figure out or look at is that we don't actually know the chanced proc per minute on the 2-piece. In combat via auto attacks, you'll lose at maximum a Bone Shield charge every 2.5 seconds. It can be longer than 2.5 seconds depending on swing timer and actually getting hit, and then your Heart Strike will have a chance to apply Ashen Decay, which will then reduce damage dealt to you by 10% and increase your damage dealt to afflicted targets by 20% for 8 seconds. And that part sounds okay. Now I can't say I'm a huge fan of Bone Shield interactions on set bonuses. I get Blizzard's thought process around it, it's a major resource for Blood DKs to manage. It's just not something that I'm really fond of as a playstyle. It also means to trigger the 2 set, you actually have to be actively tanking something. So in a raid, for example, when you're not actively tanking, your 2-piece is on the bench. In Mythic Plus, if the proc per minute is high, then it'll actually end up probably being okay due to the DR and the damage buff. I've only managed to do some limited testing on PTR myself, and I wasn't overwhelmed with the proc rate, especially for what we're losing with the current tier that we have. So I did 3 10-minute tests. Now it's important to remember when I talk about buff here, that is the 2-piece proccing that enables the next Heart Strike to apply Ashen Decay. When I mention debuff, that's the actual tier set bonus activating. So first, just wearing 2-piece, I got 18 procs of the buff and 17 procs and 1 refresh of the debuff for 23% uptime of debuff on the target in the 10-minute window, which was 2 minutes 24 debuff uptime out of the 10 minutes. The second was similar again, just again wearing 2-piece, 18 procs and 1 refresh of the buff in the 10 minutes and 23% debuff uptime on the target for 2 minutes 26. The third time I equipped 4-piece and I got 19 procs of the buff. Remember that buff is the next Heart Strike will apply Ashen Decay. So that was 46 seconds of uptime from the 10 minutes of active tanking, so 7% for the buff. And the actual set bonus debuff uptime was 5 minutes 56 at 58% uptime from the 10 minutes, which doesn't sound bad. And look, to be fair, it probably isn't. It's just in comparison to what we're losing, it's not great. The other issue I have with the 2-piece is that there's just no way to extend Ashen Decay, and that feels very shit. And it's obviously that's tied into the 4-piece, which actually makes this feel quite nice. But from a 2-piece perspective, it just feels very lackluster. It has no impact on your rotation whatsoever. And that feels very uninspired and just not fun. It's early days and obviously things will change. We saw this in Shadowlands where they brought tier sets back and we had a number of reworks before we got to where we wanted to be. Regardless though, this one is still inlaid around Bone Shield consumption and I'm just not a big fan of that. Looking at the 4-piece now, this seems to be a real effort to push Soul Reaper into that you upgrading, you're picking Soul Reaper spot. It is already a solid option in single target encounters in Raid 4 Blood DKs, but this 4-piece really seems to be trying to solidify its pick as a must-have for single target encounters. For Mythic Plus, getting guaranteed Ashen Decay procs onto enemies via Abomination Limb is going to be really nice, and that's the beauty of the 4-piece here, is that you can actually control that and then get your auto procs with Abomination Limb. And then with Heartstrike and Blood Boil, you'll extend the duration of Ashen Decay. People will still need to remember though to press Death Strike. I can see another round of bad habits forming like we saw in Shadowlands, with people going full Yeehaw mode on Heartstrike, capping out on Runic Power and not pressing Death Strike. But strictly speaking on the 4-piece set bonus itself, it's nice. You'll have very decent uptime around Ashen Decay, and you'll be able to control the commencement of the proc via Abomination Limb or Soul Reaper and gain good value from the proc and extend the uptime via good rotational play. This was noticeable on the target dummies when I was mucking around and testing it out, controlling the proc and then playing around it, which feels good. I think that's what you want in a tier set bonus. Now, I'm not the kind of creator here to just offer criticism with no solutions. So the Blood DK Discord got together with ChatGPT and formulated the most unique, ideal, and perfect 2-piece and 4-piece set bonus this game has ever seen. 2-piece set bonus, Undead Dance Party. Whenever a Blood Death Knight uses their Death Grip ability, the targeted enemy starts dancing uncontrollably for 3 seconds, unable to attack or cast spells. Nearby party or raid members will also join the dance for the duration, gaining a temporary buff called Groovy Vibes, increasing their movement speed by 20%. The 4-piece set bonus of Bonehead Symphony. When a Blood Death Knight activates their Vampiric Blood ability, they summon a group of animated, comical skeletons to perform a musical concert. These skeletons play a catchy tune that boosts the morale of the raid group, increasing all raid members' damage and healing output by 5% for 15 seconds. Additionally, all enemies within a 30-yard radius are distracted by the concert and suffer a 5% reduction in damage output. This set bonus adds a fun and unique element to the Blood Death Knights while not negatively impacting their effectiveness in the raid. It encourages a bit of humor and camaraderie amongst the players, making for a memorable raid experience. I give you the ultimate 4-piece set bonus. Are you not entertained? So that's it. Let me know your thoughts around the 10.2 proposed tier set. Obviously, we will see changes. I would love to see them move away from Bone Shield consumption. I would love to see them move toward the Bonehead Symphony as well. I think it would be absolutely bang on. But keen to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel. It does help me out a lot. Otherwise, thank you so much for taking the time to watch the video. I'll see you all next time. See you, fam. Legends, if you really want to help me out and support the channel, please consider pledging to my Patreon. Protection Warrior tier and above gets your name at the end of each video. I cannot thank everyone enough for the support. Thank you so much.